Introduce the speaker for today. Dr. Kamal Deep Peter is an educator at heart, nurturing a spirit to volunteer for people and the planet. She is an energetic professional with diverse experience of over 3 decades in education, women empowerment, and community service. She is the recipient of National Award from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, President of India in 2005 for distinguished contribution in education. He was the nominated member by the HRD Minister to the NCERT General Council from 2001 to 2004. That brings us to the norms for the webinar today. Given the large audience that we are expecting today, please keep your video and mic off to reduce stress on the bandwidth. Unmute it only when our speaker is taking questions and comments. You can keep typing your questions in the chat box during the session. Dr. Kamal will try and address as many of them as possible throughout the webinar. I will be there to curate your questions and comments throughout the webinar. Do remember that learning new things is often difficult, but challenge yourself and reflect on your thinking and experiences today. The best way to remember something is to write or discuss your learning with someone after the webinar. We also have Bala from the cost design team who's taking notes, a summary of which will be circulated to you after the webinar. The webinar will be recorded and will be available on YouTube and the FIRCI website soon. This brings me to the end of my introduction. Thank you for your patience. Hope you have an interesting evening. Over to our speaker now.
Where I am. Okay, can you hear me now? Good evening.
Yes.
I just wanted to check. Good evening and namaste, and I'm very delighted to e-connect with you. It's a great honor and incredibly excited to meet, my teacher friends who are really making a huge difference on the ground. And meeting you today is an expression for a fidelity of a cause. You have made time to join, which shows that you're really interested to enhance the teaching and learning processes, to know what are the emerging trends, to understand the changing aspirations of parents and students, to embrace the realities of the place of work, the world of work. It's changing very fast. And let me tell you, I've been an active classroom teacher for 20 years before an opportunity came my way to promote the use of technology among educators through a program of Oracle. And in 2006, I stepped out of a closed campus to move into a bigger educational campus, meeting teachers, students, understanding what really, we can do together to enhance teaching and learning. And here today, I'm going to share a lot of my experiences, my individual perspective, as I honor and respect your classroom realities. I know what I experience may not be what you have experienced. Never mind. Sharing good practices always makes a difference. We find out a way by discussion. Unless we discuss, we do not know what is really the crux of an issue. I will now introduce you to something which is going to be our new normal very soon. We are all challenged, and I know we are not meeting in the best of times, but every crisis that comes to us, there is so much to learn and relearn from a crisis. And I'm so glad that a topic which I discussed way back seems so important and right on top of the agenda to be discussed with you. See, we are all going through the COVID crisis. I just can't imagine when 2020 set in that the month of March would come this way. A small, invisible virus has brought the whole world to its feet. I mean, it shows that world is not made of many countries. The whole planet is one. A problem started in one country and it scaled up. It scaled to such a dimension that today our social life, the economic implications, the educational implications of this lockdown is immense. You can see a map I shared. It's from the UNESCO, and it records and it says that more than 1.5 billion of our students have been affected. They are out of schools. Well, then, at such a time, tragedies come and go, crises come and go, but this is kind of unprecedented. But we remain positive in a collaborative strength that today's discussion may help us to look at new ways of interacting with our students in our classrooms. I know a lot of work is in progress with technology, but I'm sure it's going to be accelerated when we get back to our campuses. It may take a month, it may take 2 months. I know for sure the educational campuses may take a little more than a month to get back, maybe after the summer holidays or have a short summer break. But one of the lessons we have from this crisis is, I can't put it better than in the words of, Viktor Franklin. He was in a detention camp during World War II, and he said, anyone can take away any kind of freedom. I'm not reading, I'm just paraphrasing it for you. But one thing which no one can take away from an individual is their attitude. An attitude to fight the crisis, to have a collective strength. And let's use this session today to, make some logical, informed decisions, because life is all about making informed choices and decisions. And in classroom campuses, it has an impact on the future of so many. So let's have a quick poll now. We'll go through a poll, and after the poll, we will proceed ahead. In the poll questions, which will open up for you, two simple things are asked. When an individual or a person goes through a crisis, which life skill helps them the most? And also, what is the most valued skill for an employer? Because one of the aspects we would be discussing is, how workplaces are changing and how can we make our students employable. So if we are ready, we'll go through a poll. Mansi?
Yes, you will be getting the link for the poll in your chat box.
Yeah, I'm just launched the poll.
Okay.
I read the question, which life skill according to you is most important to survive a crisis of any sorts? Emotional intelligence, resilience, communication, empathy? And which according to you is the most valued workplace skill? You can finish one by one. Teamwork, creativity, decision making, time management. Friends, you can get started. There's nothing like a right or wrong answer. We all, as I said, it's good to have our unique perspectives. So shall I end the poll now so that we can see the result? I hope everyone's been able to do it. Another minute. And for those who finished, I would recommend, please read through this book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Good to get it into your school library. It's a tribute to hope. So you can see the results. I'll read it for you. Emotional intelligence, 42%, resilience, 21%, communication, 26%, empathy is 11%, most important life skill. Yes, you must be having a reason for it, but for sure, our adaptability and resilience to such situations is important. What, according to you, is the most valued workplace skill by the employer? Teamwork, 66%, creativity, 14%, decision making, 14%, and time management is 7%. Well, fine, that's good. We'll see some of the surveys that have been done by professional bodies, and then we can definitely come back and see kind of, how close we are to this. Okay, now let's move ahead. As we are going into this discussion, I know it's kind of a topic which teachers always had questions, especially me when in 2000 I was asked to learn technology and I went up and told my principal why I handled both classes, I gave you good results, where is the time, why do I need to learn? Little did I know that the opportunity that I did integrating technology into classrooms would change my career. From being a classroom teacher, today I am kind of an influencer on the use of technology with the corporate world through their corporate citizenship programs. So the important thing is we'll get into discussion with no prior baggage and read this book again. This is a beautiful book written by Edward Hess and Catherine Ludwig, which says, humility is the new smart. The smart world of technology, or technology tsunami, invasion, influence, permeation, you could say anything. The world is full of technology. Our ancestors faced the industrial revolution. We are also in the fourth industrial revolution, but we are also going to accept that technology has changed so many things. It's going to get accelerated in our educational institutions, in our classrooms. So the new smart is humility. So we'll have an accurate self-appraisal for ourselves. We'll acknowledge we have no answers. Yes, I have a class of 50 students. I'm a maths teacher. Do I give them practice session or do I encourage them to use technology? So I'll request such questions that yes, they are very good. We have our results to show. Let's actually keep ourselves open to new ideas. And the important thing is we won't get an answer for all the questions right away unless we dive into it. So that requires a commitment to lifelong learning. And lifelong learning is for everyone. I would like to say that something which I have shared now, it requires, listening, teamwork, and without being judgmental. Now, let me look at this slide, which I think is the beginning of lifelong learning. It's Michelangelo, an Italian sculptor, who said, I'm still learning at 87. And if you read about his life, actually we read, many of us know him, read it, but it's not in our immediate memory. But I want to say that his career, he started working from
Ma'am, you're on mute. You've muted yourself. Ms. Kamal?
Have I muted myself?
You're back.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. So I just start from my current slide. So we'll, we'll be sliding from maybe people who influence and inspire us 40, 50, 60 years back to the present trends. One has to go with data. Data analytics is an emerging stream, and they say the data scientists, jobs for data scientists, and they are the hot jobs, most respectable jobs. So the HR team, brings out a report every year. I have provided the link. It's by Mercer HR, and they study the global trends. The 2020 report is out, which I will also be referring. And according to the report, they say is as the place and the world is changing so fast, they wanted to check one of the aspects. Are employees eager to learn? Yes, 83 of them are eager to learn. So where's the problem? If you're eager to learn, you have a requirement to learn. But then what we are learning also needs to get focused. We need to invest our energies in a time-starved day we have in the right direction. So some of the approaches that they are taking are employee-directed learning, where the employee is taking responsibility, then formal reskilling programs and informal hands-on learning. Friends, I want to tell you, according to me, the best is informal hands-on learning. Don't wait for anyone. Each day, today our session is also a learning session when we are going to exchange ideas. I got a lot of questions that came to me, which helped me also to refer. So it's been an informal way of learning. That's A3, anytime, anyone, anywhere, learning is the present trend. So let me move to LinkedIn now. That's the HR saying. LinkedIn also brings out a learning report. 2020 report is also out, which I'll be referring to, because I said the important part of our discussion is how to create, and how to make our students ready for the world of work. We all believe, oh, I should be an IT professional to get into a great job, or someone is a coder, we look at them with awe. Someone is kind of a master in artificial intelligence or something like that. So is it that only hard skills define us, create a value for us? Let me tell you, the learning report and rightly presents that to an employer today, these soft skills continue to be the most important skills when they get people and hire people. The hard skills are something you can be trained at, which can be quantified, you can be tested, and you may climb up the ladder, you may not be inducted. So many things from a hard skills, maybe an interview or a test. But still, after getting the guys who get 95, 97%, who come from the premier institutions, the employers, after hiring them, feel, oh, how I wish the person I hired was not just my choice based on academics, because the soft skills rate still higher. The creativity, the persuasion, your analytical reasoning, collaboration, and I'm glad some of you chose that, teamwork, collaboration, and being flexible, adaptable, resilience is so important at your workplace. Now, creativity. I actually had the good fortune of hosting an event with Dr. Abdul Kalam ji in 2011, the International Year of Chemistry celebrated in October. And when Kalam sir speaks, he can just keep the entire crowd, the students and teachers with him without knowing where time is going. And I'll come to what he asked all of us sitting in the auditorium. First, let me tell you, if people want to hire, people with high creativity, is it something that we should start thinking, oh, I'm not creative. I was not born creative. Nobody nurtured me to be creative. How can I suddenly become a creative person today? I'll tell you, it is simple. Today, when you join me, I know that you have a lifelong learner's mindset. You're ready to learn. You're ready to know what's happening. You want to scan the world around you. You're not happy with what you know. You're kind of not complacent. Next, a beginner's mindset. I spent so many years at my workplace, but every time I feel I should have the enthusiasm of a beginner. What was my enthusiasm and energy level when I was maybe starting my career at the age of 22? Going into a classroom, don't know, so many young faces looking at me. I started my career honestly as a primary teacher in a remote place like Shillong. And then I didn't know one day that I would be working in a corporate and, having the CSR role, promoting, bettering formal and informal education. So the beginner's mindset, you need to be enthusiastic. As I said, even if the second, third slide said, like, just believe we know nothing. Every session we attend, every person we meet, every child we interact with, maybe, a book for us to learn something from. A questioning mindset. Oh God, why is all this happening? You read a news article. Of course, newspapers are not coming to our doorsteps today, but I have a reference to an edition that will come up soon. Why this is happening. We need to question something. And when we have these three aspects, it's the curiosity mindset. And Einstein credits everything he achieved. He said, I had no special talent. I was just a curious person, a very, observant person. And companies hire curious people. So if I want to step up my or share my perspective, people like creative, employers like your creativity. I'll tell you why. It gives them a competitive edge. A curious person will be observant. An observant person will do research. A researching person will try to experiment. And when you experiment, you can be a problem solver. You can be an innovator. And that's where I give credit to Teach for India. They encourage experimentation in education. They want to bring good experiments to policy level, and I commend them for that spirit. And when we allow someone to experiment, we allow even failures. Many a times in our classrooms, we just don't encourage failures. And there can be reasons for it, because failure, every time you grade someone and tell it's a failure, then it's a problem. I have Nabomita ma'am raising her hand. Can you just tell me what she wants, Mansi? I can address that. Or should I take it a little later?
Up to you, ma'am, if you want to address the question.
Or what's the question she's given?
She's not asked it.
Okay, then we'll proceed ahead. So let me come back to Kalam sir's question. He asked all the people as he likes, what would you like to be? What would you like to be? What would you like to be? And the students were raising their hands, and he found very few people were going for research. Most of them engineers, maybe medical line. Good. All those roles are very important. At the same time, he said, why is it we don't go in for research? And then he just, instilled some thoughts in their mind. And he said, there is so much you need to problem solve. The world is facing an water crisis, and 3/4 of the planet Earth is covered by water. Still, we don't have water. How do you convert saline water into, potable water? Can you make it a research thing? We are all speaking of climate change, and we are worried about, this non-renewable fuels being used and polluting. And then we have these conferences, the taxes, polluters tax, and who pays, who does not pay. I mean, there are so many issues he drew his attention to, whether it's energy, whether it's water. He asked, what could you do about solar energy? And as a teacher, I think we may not be having answers. It's impossible. I also do not have answers to everything. But at least if we could sometimes start a discussion like this and leave it in the classroom, because one of the biggest things, achievements, or an ask for a good teacher is just create the enthusiasm for lifelong learning. And that's what has brought us here today, and that's what we will transmit in our classes. Start a topic. If everybody could be a problem solver and an innovator, we wouldn't have any problems. You see today, the best medical industry, the most powerful nation, the richest nation, the most high level protected people, no one is spared of the coronavirus. We don't have a vaccine for it. I only can recall Bill Gates, who said we need to work on, finding out vaccines before a next flu. So there are so many issues. We can just start a discussion, and I'll tell you why our children will take it ahead on their own. This is another interest. I'm giving you all the latest data. Google, Apple, 12 other companies said they no longer require employees to have a college degree. Then how does one apply? They invited applications also from students who were a part of hackathons, who went for boot camps, coding camps, who went and took classes out. They were a student themselves, but they went and took classes, for community colleges. And also, these days getting degrees is not limited to that linear course we take from school to college to professional education exams. You have so many sources that you can get certified, start getting certified at a young age. Please share this bit of news. I have provided for every article, every news item, I have provided a link. This is the article of 2018 that people who have to apply. So that brings me to an important point of discussion in the world of work today. You have to be a skilled man. You have to be highly skilled. And I'm sure going ahead, the interviews for hiring educators is also going to incorporate it if it has not yet done it. As I speak on this, I know at my office also, we have such rapid changes in the way we work. It's so dynamic that each one of us is asked to take up some learning, some courses, which some are mandatory, but some have to be done to report before our appraisal to our manager. How did we upskill ourselves? It brings me to two terms, and friends, I want you to understand this along with me very clearly. There's a difference between upskilling and reskilling yourself. You know what happens? Upskilling, yes. Now, this Atal Tinkering Labs have started in many schools, and that's to actually encourage creative thinking, innovation, problem solving, and teachers are made in charge of it. I'm sure the teacher who's called to be in charge of the tinkering lab, set it up, create that enthusiasm, produce some results, needs to herself or himself upskill. What can be some of the issues that we can take up? What can be some of the problems that we can discuss together, and probably at the end of the year present it as a finding of the Atal Lab from my school? Or don't even have to go to Atal Lab. I know it's not gone to all the schools. It is still in the in many of the schools, it's in the, I can say, experimental stage. A technology lab to get cloud instead of having so many servers and maintenance people. So at such a time, we find that upskilling is an answer for this. When we need to upskill ourselves, it's in the same job we are getting more and more knowledge. But there are some jobs that are going to get automated, completely automated. It can be, the hospitality industry. It can be the garment production place. Many robots are taking up the job. So people, employers are empathetic. They don't let their people go. They give them an opportunity that, can you take this kind of course? Or as individuals ourselves, when we understand there's a threat and I'm not going to be relevant, can I learn a new skill so that I can take up an entirely new role, a new dimension, a new job? So what I want to tell you is upskilling is provided by organizations. It is how seriously we take. I think technology, being a chemistry and a science teacher, chalk and talk, I remember learning it from my students. I used to be in awe when a color in a PowerPoint came. I'm talking of 2000. when Intel came to take us, and then I started doing work with them. I was called to so many platforms, and I realized that sometimes opportunities come as if in an overall of work, and you feel, oh, too much of work. Yes, you have to come out of your comfort zone, but you do not know that opportunity can be life changing. And it's not just impacted me, I feel, may not be big, but somewhere someone I touch by telling, let's do this together. I tried, why don't you also try? So please remember, upskilling and reskilling in present circumstances. As soon as we get back to classrooms, we realized we have to connect through a collaboration technology. So all teachers, I'm sure we are all, including me, I am learning how to connect on Zoom confidently. So there's something waiting for all of us to be upskilled. So we have something to do to connect, to use more and more of internet. Okay, Mansi, whenever you want me to stop and someone has a question, whenever you say I will do, otherwise I'll keep my pace. Yeah. And for students, a skilled teacher is very important. I remember when I went for an interview, no one asked me if I knew technology. Honestly, I didn't. I spent first 10 years in the 90s very comfortably, my B.Ed degree, my marks, and you know how I answered in the interview was all enough. But today, when I have friends from the teaching faculty, and I know that when they fill their forms, they ask them how much of technology you know. I'm going to tell you very soon it's going to come. Is there one skill in which you can say you can, be of an influencer and a teacher capacity at an educational campus? Because though the Central Board of Secondary Education is working very hard, it's easier discussed, it is a rhetoric, it can be my wish list. Vocational education curriculums are out, they are working very hard, they're bringing what is required. But let me tell you, we'll have to mainstream vocational education to make it a skilled India. Actually, the first bridge that was, the first bridge of steel that happened, I can say, which is monumental to India, may not be the first, that is the Howrah Bridge. Till I was doing an integrated lesson, and I studied the Tatas sent all the steel to make the Howrah Bridge. That was the beginning of Make in India. We have to create that. So we can visualize, some schools are doing it. I'm sharing some of the best practices. They have a TV studio. Students are learned how to how to kind of anchor a program, how to relay telecast a program, music studios, ceramic studios, everything is digital. It has a digital infusion in it. So how can a school get so many teachers, math, science, English, so many sections? So I can foresee something that is going to come up, that every teacher, your passion is going to be your strength in the form of a skill that you can offer in a school campus. Because sitting here, I'm sure I have a group of lovely, experienced, accomplished teachers. It's just a matter of chance that I am sharing with you my experience, for which I thank Teach for India. But I'm sure when I get to listen to you, there will be so much I take back from you. So let's remember, and before I go to the next slide, 4 5 years hence, I have started seeing this. Employments in offices are not going to be permanent. It's going to be a gig economy. Companies will hire someone for a particular job, having a particular skill. Once the job is done, they will move on. So our children have to be prepared for this gig economy. So what I want to tell you is, let's encourage creativity in our classrooms. Let's encourage, among ourselves, upskilling and reskilling. Let's have a specific skill in our baggage with us. Like, I love to write content for maybe the CD-ROMs. I like to kind of be a good speaker, write up articles. So maybe if I have to go back to teaching and they want some skill oriented thing, they may give me that kind of role. So I just want to tell you, let's prepare every child, even if it's not asked in the appraisal, look at each child and say, beta, aap isme achhe ho, aap ye kar lo. It's not all about getting them to get that 10th class with high marks. Very important. Sorry, but I hope the times change, parents. Don't look only for first and second ranks, and educational institutions also don't have such high cutoff points. As I said, it's my wish list. It will take time for the world to change, education to change. Now, this is something which I was talking of. It's an unparalleled disruption, unprecedented. What's happening here? That classroom had not a single student. Here now the teacher is coming to use, connecting from their home, a synchronous method where it's real time, like we are in a synchronous mode, but it's not possible. And I think this is another thing we should know, that our younger generations, when I come to the difference in the generational style of learning, they like flexibility. So we may know we have abundant of asynchronous learning methodologies. See, it's easier said than done. I'll be showing you, there's an Indian Express news item which said, as some schools have gone into distant learning using Zoom or whatever methodology the school is prescribing, huge digital divide is seen. This was a question which I got in one of while you registered. It's a very sad part of our, not only in our country, many developing economies. There's a huge digital divide, and sometimes I find it becomes so cruel. Though I may tell at this platform, use mobile learning, सबके पास smartphone है, घर में use करो, encourage करो. Yes, that's an option, but I find it's rather cruel. One child is looking slowly in a mobile, to see the PDF attachment can be seen, whereas the other one is sitting in the luxury of a laptop or, but then this is one important aspect which I think will now accelerate further. It's going to be M-learning, mobile learning, because broadband gaps are many. And I think there is work for our government to make high-speed internet as a public utility. It should be, even when I was getting into this session, I told Teach for India folks, I have my internet going up and down. I am very anxious whether it cuts off, but I'll dial in again. So we all know the realities of even high-speed internet. So we as teachers, we understand it, but I think necessity is the mother of invention. We are all going to work on making syllabus, modules, which can go on to smartphones. And also, there were so many experiments, each one laptop per child. Probably there's something, a lot of work has to be done. A lot of work has to be done in the country. And even you can start thinking about it, what you can do for your class of 50 or 60. As smartphones have come in 11 emerging countries, there was a statistics by, a survey done by Pew's. It's a research organization, a non-profit based in the US. And they found out, yes, smartphones have a good influence on education, but somewhere they have a negative influence on children. And I'm sure you got my point, because when I go to so many of the school campuses, of course, the work is less now. I don't have to tell the principals, please technology training kijiye, please technology lessons lijiye, aapke teacher, all want to do it. I'm glad there's so much of change in the last 10, 15 years, but they have a genuine problem for which I feel the first 10 years as a nation from 2000 to 2010, our concentration on technology integration was just to get teachers trained, just to produce CD-ROMs, send it out, get a computer, buy hardware, get a computer teacher. And to us, a computer teacher was like a god. We used to wait one room in the corner of the building. When is the teacher opening? I'll go and do some practice over there. We used to remove our footwear and go, but see how much life has changed today. And one of the reasons it's not having a positive influence is this. Have we spent some reasonable amount of time getting ourselves and our students familiar with the concept of being safe online. There are so many citizenships today. Mansi, I can see some hands coming up, but you can, whenever you want, you can interrupt me. After this, we actually have a poll also, but
Okay.
I'll just complete this. Yeah.
Yeah, after you finish with this slide, ma'am, we'll take a few questions. There are actually quite a few enthusiastic questions that we've had.
Yeah, fine, fine. So I just want to tell you is induction, asking people to use technology, ourselves using technology. It's good to have some net etiquette. Have tell children there's something like cyberbullying. It's not only bullying of a senior and some daring guy and a hefty guy in the classroom bullying the others. You can be bullied online. And do you know sometimes kids, even I didn't know, and I think I have real life instances where administrators did not know the websites they visit can be seen in the history. And let me tell you, we leave behind digital footprints. We may believe we shut the room, we are sitting in the laptop, and there's no one around me, and I can visit any site. There are digital footprints that are left. So we should speak to our kids upon how to be safe online, with what age Facebook. If you're going, Facebook is very educational. I can see the Facebook our session being streamed on, live on Facebook. Okay, if you had a issue, where do you report cyber crimes? Do you know the address? I'm in Bangalore. Wherever I go for a session, I tell them the address on where the police commissioner's office for cybercrime would be there. What are the types of cyber crimes? How you can be cheated? You can go online shopping. You look at Amazon, AMAZON, instead of the O, it is a zero, and you've gone to another URL where the money has been taken and you have not been able to receive your stuff. And it becomes beautiful. They get interested when you tell them a lot of demand of jobs and careers in cybersecurity. As more and more big and small companies are going digital, they want the best brains that can protect us. What happened to Zoom last 2-3 days back? All of us got a lot of information that there is, Zoom is not very secure. Please restrict participation. We scheduled some meetings. We had to reset passwords. And most important, teachers, I tell you, before we teach anything or discuss anything, we need to be knowing intellectual property rights and copyright issues. Because when we are going to use so much of stuff online, we can't just copy paste things. Even if I'm asked, my principal asked me to write a report for Environment Day, I just can't copy pictures and paste it from here and there and put some date and time change and tell it it's my work. That's why when you receive this presentation, you'll find that I have given credits in places where I have taken data from them. And when you, actually excite the child of careers in cybersecurity, they'll be very happy. And let them take a pledge. Let's go for a poll now, Mansi, then I'll take the questions.
Yes, ma'am. Should we take the poll first, ma'am?
Yeah. Now the question is, have you attended a cybersecurity digital citizenship session? Have you organized a cybersecurity digital citizenship session for your students? This is another action point. Till our schools reopen, we can plan out something if we have not done, and we should repeatedly do it. Like there are some courses at our office we take every year as a refresher. So we'll end the poll now. Yeah. So we have 31 people, 31% who says, not 31 people, 31% who say they have attended a cybersecurity session. Good. 69, no problem. You can start preparing now till your school reopens. You can go online and take a course. I'll take you to some of those resources. Have you organized a cybersecurity session for your students? 15% say yes. A huge number, 70% say no and not applicable. I'm sure we have parents here, or we have people who are not directly interacting with students. So the results have been shared. So we can come back to our slide deck. And now it's time for questions, please. You told me, Mansi, there are a lot of questions. Would you like to read it for me?
Yes. So there are around 4 questions regarding similar things, which is basically if the most relevant skills for us to do jobs today are technology based, which are not necessarily taught in school, then should NCERT think its curriculum? Should schools rethink what we actually teach, given that even now companies aren't necessarily looking at degrees? So what does that mean for our school curriculum?
Oh, you're right. It's a good question. And I can tell you, if you want to visit the NCRT site, they have actually come up with a lot of small short-term courses. And I tell you, a teacher is the most powerful person in a classroom. Yes, we are guided by a lot of syllabus, timelines, tests, but do your projects on this subject, do it, give homework, that they do a small, learn Excel and come back, learn coding. You have Alice, you have Greenfoot, which teaches you coding. There are freeware and software. Yes, NCRT has started. The NCRT is doing amazing work of these recent times, especially last 2-3 years. I can see I was a part of the NCRT. I'm the textbook writer for class 7 for the NCRT science. If you are using the NCRT, it's still in use. In 8th class, I'm a member of the review committee of the science textbook. I was also the member of the technology focus group of the NCERT. And that time, we only thought of some parts of technology, and 10 years hence, if they think of making something again, I have so many more ideas for them. So good question, teachers take the lead. You are the leader, you are the best judge. Don't wait for curriculums to change. Let your yearly project be one, in which you have shown others, and submit your paper to the NCRT to win an award on innovative practices in school education. I used to submit, and it was my good fortune. The 2 years I got selected for the innovation in classroom teaching. And don't wait, start. Good question. Thank you so much for that. Can I move ahead, Mansi?
Okay. There are actually a lot of questions about what about, so currently the learning that we are proposing is basically addressed to people who can afford smartphones and
Exactly.
internet. What about students in rural schools, rural areas, government schools who don't necessarily have these facilities? Because e-learning quite a bit of bandwidth. It's not the same as regular phone usage. So how does that feature into our countries?
Yeah, that's why before you raised it, I raised it, because I'll be showing you the news item in Indian Express. It's so true, and I want to tell you, at Oracle, we have started a project with an NGO, which is remote volunteering. And do you know what I do? Yesterday, when I was connected, there is one smartphone in the whole family, and these are out of school children. They have given us a curriculum, and we call them for 1 hour. They told us probably we have fed them with, they would be able to go on Google Hangout. But from my first experience yesterday, I did realize that's not so easy. When when I called the girl, she said, the person who picked up said that the phone is with me. I'll reach home at 7 p.m. Can you call me at 7 p.m.? These are realities. We are going to all work at it. So right now, what looks to me is smartphone, and till social distancing is there, I can not even tell you to tell people to come to a resource center. These kids whom we have adopted for 30 days for mentoring, they used to go to a resource center. Some of them were drug addicts, some of the parents couldn't afford education, some were failures, they gave up in life. So they were going to these resource centers where there was community teaching, and now it stopped because of COVID. So we have adopted these children. There are 600 of them to be covered. Right now from my company, we have made a commitment for 100, because it is 30 days of continuous guided instruction to them. And yes, what you said is very right, ma'am. Mobile phones ko bhi wo syllabus aana hai. I told you myself, because Yesterday, they started in one school sending out things, and PDF attachment could not be opened in many of the mobile phones. So today they were asking them what to install. But we have to begin the journey somewhere. We started, as I told you, with a hallowed place like a computer room, in the corner of a building where we were asked to leave our footwear outside, not to make noise, come and sit there. We used to wait for the server to be on. We've come a long way. I'm sure we will come. And I would request you to plan an activity which will help you, because a lot of minds together can address this. Mansi, shall I go ahead?
One last question, ma'am.
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
So it's a very interesting thing that we have had 4 or 5 questions asking the same thing, which is
Yes.
school also gives gives students the exposure to learn interpersonal skills,
Yes.
to do science experiments that you have to actually experience and do them to learn them. So what do we do about those things if we switch to virtual learning?
Oh, that's a beautiful
We do to
question.
equip
And
teachers to
yeah.
sort of walk students through it?
I'm glad she set the stage for my coming slides. And that's the place I want to tell the teachers, you can never be replaced by technology. And I'm sure my discussion in one of the upcoming slides will give you an answer to this question. Because as we are in awe of technology, we also are kind of worried that whether technology is going to replace us. I don't know why my slide is not going to the next one. Uh, 1 minute, please. Yes. So this is, I think this, I'm going to answer your question here. Are robots going to take over the world? Will teachers be replaced by technology? Even I thought when technology started, I thought ये एक दिन ऐसे आएगा कि सब बच्चों को एक क्लास में बिठा देंगे और जैसे टीवी दिखा रहे हैं, मूवी दिखा रहे हैं. It's not that. Let me tell you, not only in teaching but everywhere else, you will find that it's going to be human led and technology enabled. Please mark my words. It's going to be human led, technology enabled, especially in education. And that's why if you're anxious about it, let me tell you what the robots are going to do for us. It's good when we sit in, I can imagine, like, I kind of closing to be a senior citizen. There are people in this group who may be of different age groups. We are all digital immigrants, but it's good when our youngsters are talking to us. We don't sound as if we don't know. We are ready learners. So if any time a discussion comes up, let me tell you, robots are going to just take away the dull things, dirty things, dangerous things, and the delicate ones. Dull means repetitive. Personal assistant's post will go away. This is one of the things I have a problem. Sometimes I have a challenge. I wouldn't like to call it a problem. Nothing is a problem. It's a challenge, and we have to wait and be patient. Many principals, head of institutions, don't check the school emails themselves. They'll wait for their assistant to take a printout and keep it on the table. So the idea of emailing was to save time and effort. And I'm glad CBSE is making everything online now. At least we'll start getting closer to technology. So if there are some repetitive things, those are going to be replaced. Robots will take care of them. जैसे अभी कपड़ा कट रहा है, 1,000 shirts का order आया है, one organize, a company को. So they have a basic design, and rest is being cut by robots and stitched and packed and put over there. What's the harm? Let them take the repetitive work. They'll enhance the dirty work. It's so sad to see even today so many of our human beings are doing scavengers. We ask them to go down the drains. Robots have taken up that job in many countries, and I wish to see that in India. And I think it has started in Rajasthan. There's a hospital during COVID times. Raja Mansingh Hospital. I'll see the slide and I'll tell you. They are experimenting on having robots to clean the place. Dangerous. How many landmines are laid? Why should we send our army people in front, one battalion, and suddenly they find that there is some detonator there and they are all blown off? Let the robots walk the distance. Let them be the vanguards. Let them go and defuse bombs. So let the dangerous things be done by robots. You know the Howrah Bridge, how often it needs to be examined? How strong is it till today? How many men are going to do, and some why to take? There are men, they guide the robots, but robots play a very important role. Delicate, in all your with artificial intelligence and all coming in, they are helping doctors so that our operations become less invasive. So recent during the COVID times, actually my internet was a little unstable, so I put off my video, but I hope you can still get me at the Hong Kong airport, not airport, sorry, at the metro, where so many trains come and go. When a worker was diagnosed with the coronavirus, immediately this work has been taken up by robots. And in 4 hours, one robo can disinfect an 8 carriage train. You meet Yugi, who is a robo who is scanning all the sewers. It's not that she thankfully, I mean, we should be appreciating the robo for bringing human dignity and ensuring human rights. But they do much more than that. The samples are taken, analyzed to find out what is the community health status, because the sewage is important indicator of what is the kind of microorganism that can be future threat and break out as an epidemic. So they have incredible, let them do their work. It's awesome, let's admire them, but let's not get anxious, because can a robot do some higher order thinking? Can it do critical thinking, creative thinking, problem solving? Suddenly emergency हो गया है, कुछ lockout हो गया, बच्चों को घर भेजना है, at 10:30 the school is closing down. It's only the teacher and individual who can take a decision, and that answers the question you read out, Mansi. See, an Excel skill can be learnt online by the resources I share, but behaviors cannot be learned through technology. We are social beings. We are social beings. Our behavior, how we problem solve, how we react in teams happens in a social settings. And schools will prepare human beings for society. But who can maximize the use of technology for the benefit of mankind? So a teacher, please, we should all be proud of the badge we wear, that we can never be replaced by technology. It's just going to help our students to learn better. And I tell you, it's time. We teachers can't manage everything. My God, kids are so demanding. Everyone has their unique ability, their style. We are not able to actually sometimes meet or come up to their expectations. And just because, many times principals also tell me, ma'am, I was at the CBSE conference as a panelist in November in Lucknow on iLearning. The CBSE had invited me, principals conference, and then they said, they had this, we give everything to our teachers, our labs are ready, or ask, we have internet connectivity, we are buying things, we are having a library, but still many of them are hesitant to learn. How do we change? How do we motivate them? Technology integration is not having cool iPads and expensive gadgets. It's like they say, what happens inside a building is more important. In a muddy building, a lot of teaching can take place rather than a building which is made out of marble. It was, I think, Zakir Hussein's quote, in which he said this. So it's the people who use it that make the difference, and the ambience, the learning environment. I always avoided sitting in the staff room for a long time, because somewhere when I was learning technology, I got to learn, hear many passing comments, which happens always. Oh, why are you trying to learn this? Whom are you going to impress? Are you looking for an award? Do you want to submit another paper in innovation? So I think a lot of motivation is killed inside a staff room. So if you're sitting there, please be deaf to it. You are doing something for the sake of the students, sake of your own self, because teaching is a profession of possibilities. We speak of possibilities. We can't wait for things to be perfect. And technology can facilitate individual learning. It's not that कि यहाँ से degree ले लिए नौकरी में चले गए तो learning बंद हो गई student की, because he's getting a good handsome salary, he's got a house, he's got a nice car, and he stops learning. No, companies want people who want to learn. So one of our jobs is, have we created that interest in them? So please be sure that when we are saying up technology karo to bachon ko dusre skills kahan aayenge, no, it has to happen in a classroom setting. It has to happen in a classroom setting. Behavior, personalities have to be shaped there. And it's so frightening when we see, if we are running after economic prosperity, progress, IT, but a lot of evil is setting in because of values declining. So it's only classroom campuses, homes, each individual. Why give all the responsibility to the classroom teachers? They're already having a lot of things to handle. I think each one of us, when we come in contact, our own behavior becomes an inspiration to the student. You know, one of the dialogues I hear, students don't listen to us. Yeah, they don't listen, but they'll follow you. They may not show that they follow you or they care for you, but they'll come back years later and say, ma'am, I learned how to speak communication. A blog that came up on International Women's Day from my student in Australia, who one among the few coders, as she was acknowledging her father's role, who let her go in, she just put something there, and she said, she remembered me and told me she was one person who told us, keep learning. And I learned communication from her. I didn't know that someone was watching me so carefully. So friends, technology, what question is right? So don't give technology a higher position than you. Today also the Zoom session would not have been happening without the work of, you know, TFI to bring us together. It's human led and technology enabled. So let me go to the next slide, because I need to be conscious of the time. I don't know why my slides are getting stuck. 1 minute, please. Yes. Now I want to answer some of the questions and expressions I shared. People said that students don't listen, they don't want to learn, mostly in the higher education, 10th ke baad, 8th ke baad, primary children still come in with a lot of sense of discipline. I wouldn't say the seniors don't have respect. Their way of expressing respect is very different. In fact, I must tell you, the Generation Z is full of values, but we need to handle them separately. Just imagine you have children who are from Generation Z, that is those born from 1997, 98, there's no fixed year, late 90s, early 2000s to 2017 and all in your classrooms. And if we were born in 60s, 70s and 80s, isn't the first challenge in front of us? It's a crisis actually. The digital immigrants have been asked to teach technology to the digital natives. You're not teaching technology, but you're asked to use the technology, and these guys know everything. Their attention span is for 8 seconds. They have not seen the world without technology. So how do we engage them? That's a challenge. So every time we can't do it, let's not blame the kids. And if the kids also understand, and let me tell you, students are ready to coach us. If we come down to learning from them, I think the mentoring gets reversed when it comes to technology learning in the schools. I learned from my students, and I remember that month when the schools were closed because of hijack of one of the famous actors in Karnataka, Rajkumar by Veerappan. I used to walk the distance to school and call one of my students to teach me technology. Sometimes our own kids are impatient with us in our homes. Ask other children. They'll be too happy to help a teacher. So what I want to tell you is, you just look at the age group of your kids in your classroom. If you are also not very far from them and you are of the millennial generation, you're a young teacher, I think you'll gel very well. You shouldn't have any problems of rapport building. Just see that you give them a lot of exercises on personal devices. You publish their assignments online, they just love it. Then you communicate with them online. There are social media, and I'll give you examples how Twitter can be used by schools also. And there is an option called as Doodle Notes. They're highly visual learners. I read somewhere they look at 5 screens at one time. They can multitask. So that's their nature. We can't, tell them that, oh, they are like this, they don't listen to us. The problem with them is we should understand they want instant gratification. We used to wait for mummy to put the Binaka Geet Mala on Wednesday, or for a TV program to be shown to us after a good week of hard work. And then the CD movies came, we waited for that. These children get it on Netflix. They don't wait for anybody. It's a time for instant gratification. If you're thinking of a sample, like you want, I was trying to influence a group of young girls to come to technology, STEM education. And they immediately told me, ma'am, have you seen that movie Hidden Figures? And that's about the African, but were never given credit. So they have answers for everything, and they are lovely people. They are more realistic. The only problem is we need to understand and change our teaching method according to the generational difference. And they want to change the world. They'll mobilize all my young employees at the Oracle office, come out for volunteering. They love to change world. They love to take up causes. And there can be no other greater inspirer if you discuss the story in your classroom about, the Tata Group, especially Ratanji, J.R. Tata, J.R.D. Tata, because these generation Z who's sitting in our classroom, though they are instant gratification, they are restless people, they want to change the world. They want to be problem solvers. They want dialogue. And thankfully, the previous generation before them was the me generation. But the ones who are now 15, 16, 17 are getting better. So you tell them the story of how Tata, whatever the Tatas have done, the HR rules have been brought to us by Tata. He always said this: good thoughts, good words, and good deeds, the mantra for success. And we can never call Tata as an industrialist. It's too small a name for him. He's a nation builder. He's really a nation builder. He's an institution builder. And the Tata legacy continues. You just mention this to your students in the classroom. They will come back and they'll be inspired. It's all about inspiring them. Then when everybody wants to learn, let's remember when we are going to start, this is for the principals in the school, the decision makers, the influencers. Please see that the exercises we give them are very relevant, because all generations want personalized learning, social and collaborative. So when we choose a learning style, are we meeting all this? This is again from the LinkedIn report of 2020, where I'll share a practice. Oh, this guy is so great, I must tell you. One of the best CEOs any company has had till today. His work was, his line, why I brought into this presentation is, keep learning, keep making your environment smarter, learn. He wonders at employees who come with the bell and bill culture. He said, didn't we do homework in our school days? It's all your teacher gave you some homework. So homework, what the bosses give, that's what we have been doing for 12 years of schooling, 4 years of graduation. Are you surprising and delivering more than the expectations of the company? And that applies to all of us in any role. You have a timetable given to you, but are you challenging your own self? And I just want to take a minute to tell you, a teacher may say she's 30 years experienced, but I remember the first school I joined, I heard in a conference, you can remain in education for 30 years and do what you did the first year again and again and again and again, and you are just 1 year of experience. So Jack Welch, she has an MBA. He just passed away a few months back. He was one of the most legendary CEOs that GE, General Electricals, had. Read him, get his book in the library, some of the books that I'm mentioning to you. And this is the latest success story. And if the conference goes, if social distancing is withdrawn, she would be addressing the LinkedIn Connect program this May. And this is her story. Before I get to that story, I want to tell you it will not happen suddenly. If you're thinking after my class and your idea that everything is going to learn, you have to do daily little. You go to YouTube and read about her, and she says she started alone as a head of the L&D, learning and development cell of a company which you can see, whose tomato ketchup is very famous. It comes to us from McDonald's, from other places. When we call for pizzas, alone she started studying each day. Then people joined her. So I want to tell you, if you want to take up a course, please take it up. It can be a certification course, it can be a degree course. Can't take up, you don't have time, don't worry. Take small bites of learning. Just go, I'll give you some resources. Do a small certification course, a small course of 1 hour, get it to your LinkedIn profile. Just even start with counting. When I was coming for this and I saw your questions, I did some researching. I contacted some teachers who use technology to get their inputs. So I did some learning. It was informal. Yeah.
Sorry, Kamal ma'am. Giving you a heads up. 5 more minutes to presentation, and then we'll enter the question and answer session.
Yeah. So I just want to tell you, your learning can be starting small. This is a success story of a lady who started alone for 365 days, and she said, learn like an owner. Why do you want to tell someone, come and tell you, chalo, kholo, kitab karo? We have those apps in our thing. I walked 1,000 steps, 2,000 steps. You start with 10 minutes of learning every day, which you must be doing for your course curriculums. Just give it more focus. Kellogg's Journey, breakfast table, very important food item many times. Oh, I tell you, I just love it. They didn't waste their time. This is an example I would like to give to the school principals. They adopted a learning management system, but getting a system in place is not enough. You should give your students what to do. Don't reinvent the wheel. LinkedIn Learning has lot of lessons ready. So all the senior officers, it's very easy to tell paisa le lo. Companies are giving a lot of money, but there's nobody starting because the managers, the top person has to be the influencer. So Thor Flotsam said that we started it in a way that everybody used to take some LinkedIn learning lessons, and they started giving prizes. If one team did better, they would announce the name of that team, and the team would say, tell us how you did it, and so many videos have been watched. So this is a good business practice. And I also want to tell you is, as we are working in a multi-age setup, diverse age setup is a right word, age diverse workforce, there's another intelligence we need to develop. It's not IQ, EQ and cultural coefficient, it's generational intelligence. So one generation was TV, one was computers, one is internet, and the other will go to eye-learning or, hand learning. They carry the world in their mobile phones. So just let's respect, get the senior people, in your workforce, in the I can say the faculty of teaching, to be coached by someone more patiently, and let the young generation of teachers coach them. There's no issue. Just find out your innovative method and just be careful. And if we just start encouraging them, I'm sure we won't have this question why we set up so many labs and still people are not using it. And keep your school as have a high point, like Kiran Mazumdar says. She says embrace partnership, and I showed you a partnership between the company that Kellogg's and Linden. So you establish a partnership, lot of free resources are available. Look at this, Anand Mahindra did it during COVID times, and I entered this kind of contest. Of course, there were people who did better. He gave this picture on Twitter and he said, can you give a creative caption? And one of them gave in Hindi, kya kare saab, ghar chalana padta hai, and the other one said home delivery. And isn't it a beautiful way of exciting someone to think creatively on a caption? And it's done. So schools can have a Twitter account where you can ask. Look at this guy, Ankit, during COVID days, he's teaching foreign languages using Hindi and he's posting his lessons. This is the way technology can also be learned. Well, there are a lot of resources. I have a list of them. NCRT is a great place. Go to ePathshala, Diksha by the Government of India. I will be requesting Mansi to post these links I've shared with her. Coursera is excellent. Safari Books Online. Lynda.com is now LinkedIn Learning. Khan Academy, everybody knows. Udemy is there. So I want you that make use of them. Nobody is going, we have to walk our own journey. People may stand there and later look at you with awe. Oh my God, they've done these courses. There's a very beautiful document which you all should access. All the resources which have become even taken up by the UNESCO today for IGNOU, common resources, Swayam Prabha, YouTube channels, all what the government of India is doing with the QR codes and their links I have shared here. I had a very good question coming from a teacher, how to learn maths learning. How can we do some maths learning? You have a lot of apps and I have listed them in this list. Chemistry. Actually, if I have time, I don't mind sitting with some teachers and working out a module on teaching chemistry, physics. Chemistry is my subject, biology, even in senior classes, giving them a feel of the lab work and all. You have a lot of resources which we will share with you. Our children are YouTubers. आप कितना भी कुछ दे दो, they love YouTubes. And teach them how to make a podcast. It's not all about making a PowerPoint or an Excel sheet. There are various ways. And one question when someone told me, कि mobile सबके पास नहीं होता, आपका question कितना अच्छा है, which I'm showing you the next one after this slide. TV and our radio is to come back now. Everybody has radio and TV in their homes. So there are some of the channels in the last 2 weeks, NCRT is putting them into YouTube and TV. I'll show you that slide and I will ask this to be shared. Some of the resources, I'll tell you, be simple. Google Forms are very good for doing your assessments. You use Google Form, you have an open source TC exam, you have Plickers. I have a YouTube link where a rural India school a teacher has done with the students. They are QR codes on paper. They can be used as a terrific formative assessment tool. So I'm naming some of them. Google Forms to me are amazing. And now if you want to get a result, combine Google Form with Flubaro. This is also a management system which will actually rate, classify, and grade your kids. And start simple, please. The more complicated technology we learn, but we cannot use it in the classroom. It's not it's good to learn, but not essential. Simple rubrics. I love the rubrics where we design rubrics ourselves with the students, movie makers, blogging, publishers. And to tell you one thing, this was the Indian Express reporting in Mumbai that students are out. So we can use radio and TV. And I just searched after I saw this news item, Swayam channel, NCRT, you can now watch their lessons on. I know the Kendriya Vidyalayas yesterday sent out an emailer with the lessons for the NCRT links to their students to watch. And this can be shown on a TV. At least TV and radio is not so difficult for us. Now, Rosetta Stone, please try this today. Storytelling session, English speaking, language learning. This is available only for 3 months free of charge as a help for COVID times. And you can send this to your students to learn and improve their language, their pronunciation, their intonation. Instagram at night, 9 p.m. There is a lady by name Geeta, I think. She is doing storytelling with props, and we teachers can, and we all can watch and get so many ideas for classroom lessons. They've already mentioned this. I got from Pratham, with whom we work. And Pratham has a huge list specially sent to us that they are doing this for COVID times. STEM, for curiosity learning, they have a huge list of reading items. They have audio visual books. Yes, the question again is, कितने लोगों के पास internet है, कितने के पास smartphone है, जहां भी है, let's start it. I gave you this. Now, since the time is less, I had a beautiful experiment I did for Mahatma Gandhi in the form of a game. This is about Lise Metnar. So I want to sum up and keep it open for questioning. We'll just reinvent our pedagogic practices, accelerated by the present situation. We'll be pushed and steered and navigated by the situation. Let's enhance our computer literacy and proficiency for academic purposes. We are very good in technology. We just need to pep it up. I'm sure some of you are very good. I'm just giving a statement which applies for me also. Learn to integrate technology through videos, PowerPoints, and e-learning, self-learning resources. Have your responsible presence on social media. Use Twitter, Facebook for educational purposes. Become a part of a professional group. Teachers, I didn't ask some of the poll questions because of the time. How many of you are members? And always become a group member that is not of immediate your teachers, only your school teachers. Go out into the big world and you will get so much of positivity, so much of ideas, and take your friends of the school along. They will give you also the realistic situation, but these guys will also give you their business, their practices, good practices. And please, disciplined approach, and don't get lost in the internet jungle. When you start searching, you will not find, and you'll say, oh my God, I didn't find something I wanted. See, you do researching responsibly, do it little by little. Internet is it's like a maze, you can get lost. So don't delve too much. Research something, finish it, then search again. Adopt reskilling and upskilling, and believe in yourself and think, oh, I am going to be successful. Never fail. Remind myself that I'm better than I'm really am. We think, oh, I can't do. But just keep telling, I can do better than what I think I can do. And don't sit and idealize champions or even someone who's been called to address you. They are no different from you. They are same, but probably they did some intelligent, effective thing without expecting more from themselves and less from someone else to lead you. You expect more. Raise your standard. Be impatient with yourself, not impatient with the children and impatient with the world. Be impatient with your own self. And to conclude, technology will play an important role, but a supporting role. The students are the stars, but the playwright and the director are the actors. And so some of you may think that how am I speaking to you, but I try to bring a blend of my experiences in both the platforms to tell you that I shared this knowledge of mine just as an act of friendship. And I'm sure you found it useful, and we are open to questions now.
Thank you so much, Kamalji. Uh,
Yeah.
Before we start, there's a comment from Clary Joshi on Facebook, where
Yeah.
ma'am, you've wonderfully put in the roles for the robots, it seems. But now we transition into the question answer time. This is
Okay.
participants. We will take questions till 7, and any questions that are unanswered, you will find that there has been discussion done on them on the Firki website very soon.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Sure. Sure. I am ready.
Okay.
Mansi, I right now can just see the participants. Okay. Yeah. Fine. Now I'm there. Yes. Please tell me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Whatever I know, I'll try. I have no authority. Please. Yeah.
There have been two questions about motivation levels of students in the current
Yeah.
situation. This is relevant to the crisis we are facing right now. The question is how, given that everything that is happening around us, how do we keep students motivated to learn?
Okay, are you I mean, the person who's put this question to me, are they in touch with the students remotely, phone, or anything like that? If you are, I think that's the best way, actually. Because, see, I'll tell you something, even if we are connecting through technology, maybe a follow-up message with them, a WhatsApp group with your students, calling them one by one, sharing the work probably they did with the entire class online, though you're not meeting in a classroom situation. It just keeps them a lot motivated. And if nobody started with it, you just start, do something and say, hey guys, I saw this in the internet and this is done by this student and teacher. Can we do something similar? Something like that. And I find talking to them one is to one makes a lot of difference, especially this generation. because it's only later on after 15-20 years when I came out of a school campus, somebody reminded me, ma'am, I had not brought my tiffin box, my mom was not keeping well, and one day when I told you the whole week you brought lunch for me, I said, oh my God, I don't even remember that. So when you personalize your relationship with the child, they get motivated. And I always believe my love for a subject is from the teacher. I feared maths because my maths teacher was very strict with me, and she wouldn't take wrong, solving an equation or no second method. But I loved my science teacher, the way she taught, the way she dressed and came to class. And I took science as my specialization. So probably small suggestion, try out this to motivate them during this time. Yeah.
Okay. Another question is how to encourage government officials to incorporate these skills in classrooms. Teachers have pressure from the system only to only focus on marks and syllabus completion. How do you buy in system engagement?
Yeah, system engagement, I think those who have reached the policymakers do it better. Yeah. Actually, the method of assessment, formative and all that was there for students, but now they have seen again, they have changed it. So I'll tell you, the government is wanting to encourage teachers, but they're not able to balance it out. But they're giving you a lot of opportunities in types of platforms. Like if you make a video of something, you have open resources. You just log in at NCRT, you put it there. There are a lot of recognitions they are giving teachers earlier. There are places where you can publish. I saw Anand Mahendra on Twitter sharing teaching of multiplication tables by a government teacher, and it flashed across. He had so many followers that teacher would have never imagined. So social media is also a great place to connect. Make your own subject groups, across various countries, and I'm sure Teach for India is doing it, and I'm sure they will accelerate. All of us are going to make changes. Yes, the government knows they need to do it. I wouldn't say that they've not taken steps, but it is going to take time when it's going to be balanced. I think the way we assess our children will give scope to teachers to experiment. That is a big change in our assessment methods. See, all of a sudden now nobody wants exams, and the whole world was running. Parents and teachers were finishing syllabus. Now when COVID came, they feel exam is not essential. Yeah. So I'm sure things are going to change. Let's hope for better times.
All right. Thank you. There is another question about, there are two questions about children using technology and the caution against it, which is basically saying, someone has asked that at what age is it right for children to engage in technology, given that it also has adverse effects, and how much should we allow for that to happen?
I would prefer in the primary classes, it should be more of a teacher doing demo, showing some good videos, taking them, showing the visual appeal. Afterwards, I know that there are companies that have brought out Paint and Scratch and all that for coding. So that kind of thing is fine. When you get them into the internet world, I think it's better to pass the primary classes, because they need to be careful in the internet world. I'll say let the teacher's presence be more powerful. Some people may find me conservative here, but Clay, you just Google after I say Clay Play Home. I can send this link to you. They are using their YouTube channel, which is public, for lessons. And who is doing it? The teachers are doing it. They're not showing them some ready-made resources. The two teachers are introducing themselves and telling the kids, oh, we are missing you. Let's begin with washing our hands. We'll show you how to wash hands. Then, okay, then they bring them to reading and all. So still there, it's the teacher element. So it's just that the teacher is not face-to-face real time, but virtually she's still there. So for me, start with your influence in primary. By 4th and 5th, get them to using non-internet based stuff. Take them through digital citizenship, responsible thing. But I know parents give them very early. They all have, I can see kids in my building sitting on the steps and showing their iPads to each other. And I wonder that, how did they get it so early? But then, it's generations and times changing. So we have to strike the balance, and wisdom of everybody is important here.
Great. There is another question about the system in general. I want to understand, how do we get governments to increase funding for education instead of directing funds to the defense and military? Are all financial aid budgets and funds marginalized? What are some ways to get the government to focus on funding for the education?
See, it depends on the nature of your school. It's a private school, government will not give funds. You know, these international schools, private schools, they get it from them.
No, I think it's
Government,
a, sorry, ma'am. I think
yeah,
the
no
question
problem.
about just the budget that is allocated for education by the government. I don't think it's
Government, yeah.
making schools better.
I think they have stepped it up. I don't know what's the figure now. Military and all, uh, I think we need to be, because they say strength respects strength. We may commit ourselves to no first time use of nuclear power or anything, but our borders have to be very secure. We have actually enough of money. It just needs to see that it's not going down somewhere else. In education, it's utilized. So I always believe revolutionary activists, those who started some great organizations, did something on their own. And after 15, 20 years, the government is sharing their practice with everyone and funding them. You do more, you do more. So if you feel funds coming to you are not so easy, I think you need to do something. Because I again reminded of Abdul Kalamji's question. He asked the educators sitting there, tell me one thing your school is unique about. Don't tell me I have yoga class, I have computer lab, I have this. All we're looking at each other to what answer to give to Abdul Kalam. You know, what is your school so different about? So it's maybe some USP, something which is very unique. Like I can share an example of someone, one school for last 14, 15 years is creating awareness on environment with all the kids. I didn't cover the environment part, but they have planted so many trees that they have gone into book of records. So maybe do something which will catch the attention and it will be trend setting, and you are the pioneer. And yes, I also will find out, I don't know who to reach for funds, but reach Moti ji. He is very active on Twitter and all these things. You can leave it, he'll answer it for you better that we need more funds. I think that's the way you can make your presence in an office or in society or in a community.
Sorry. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
There are three questions about concerns about cyber security, specifically if we are encouraging children to use virtual methods of learning. What do we do about cybersecurity and just making sure that children know the pros and cons of technology?
See, I told you, you have to not only initiate them, but you have to have repeated review, refresher courses. See, this I 100% this morning also I saw, go to the NCRT site, download the PDF. It has the entire curriculum. And it's also, CBSE has it and they put it into a nice cartoon form also, you know. So we have to initiate them, tell them, give them some real examples of where there were threats and how the issue became a problem for the entire family, for the educational institution. But we have to be trusting our kids. You know, trust is basic to any progress. We trust them. I'm sure they won't do it, but if they do it also, at least, we have created that shield for them to think rationally. Please have every 6 months refresher course for kids and give your project, on projects on this only. That is there something new you saw? What were the latest security breaches which happened in 2018, happened in
Sorry,
2019?
ma'am.
Because some of the children are helping parents to use, some of the children are helping parents to use credit cards, online banking. So our children, if they are trained in the school, they'll train their parents also. So I think we shouldn't lose this resource. Just make them cyber secure and aware and alert and responsible and trust. The qualitatively, I expect this. Quantitatively, I expect that they go through some, frequent refresher courses on this.
Thank you, ma'am. There is a question about considering how soft skills are important with the current struggle incorporating the development of such skills in regular classroom, how can teachers themselves to develop such skills through digital platform, especially skills like collaboration, teamwork, leadership?
All your projects should be collaborative online. So collaboration can be easily done even online till you, nothing like a real social setting in your classroom, but through technology, a lot of collaborative projects are given and using the skill set of each one of them. So I think it gives a lot of scope. When your presentation is made, if you want to see the communication skill, like I used to make a rubric for my students, for any of them, each child, if it's a 10-minute presentation, somebody will give the intro, somebody will take up the next presentation, somebody gives the conclusion, somebody takes the Q&A. So you get the communication skills. Listening abilities are so important in kids. And I personally believe the teacher himself is the best example for soft skills. You know, the way we walk into our classrooms early in the morning, are we on time, how we are dressed, how we stand. I remember I was very happy to work under a principal who never allowed chairs in the classroom for teachers, because he found many teachers used to start the class and sit on the chair and they have no eye contact with the students. So what examples we said, it's better to give less classes to a teacher, but see that some of these things, you know, how we greet the children, and when they're asking a question, sit down, my course has to get over, I'm not going to answer. And how we, you know, take up responsibility. Now, some of the interviews which you must have read these days, the interview starts through a CCTV. They'll watch the candidate coming in from the gate, and they have, in one of the interviews which was quite replicated the idea in one of the companies I know, the water taps were all leaking, and water was on the place coming in. They saw how many people stopped to close the water tap, then progressed, and after coming in, how they sat inside, how they registered, asked for their turn. So observation, you know, all this is seen. So just share a lot of stories with them, you know, on all these incidents that take place, and they will learn themselves. For communication skills, we all have our TV news. Somebody can, a news reporter may be shouting, but there may be someone who's moderating the discussion very well. There was a time when people started respecting communication as a place where people can join and make their careers. Their children came from some of our good TV casters, Nidhi Razdan, and so many of them. They do an awesome job. I remember learning English from when the Doordarshan first started. I would just wait for the English news to get. So there are various ways of informal learning for all the skills. You just discuss that in the classroom and tell them, observe this person and come back and tell me what you learned.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. We would like to, this actually sees the end of our question and answer session as well. We would like to thank Dr. Kamal for being generous with her time and expertise today. Can you please also quickly share your thoughts on the webinar today, ma'am?
It was fun. As I said, to me, it was like a silver lining at this time. And meeting young teachers, practicing teachers, and teachers attached to Teach for India means a much, because I know that you are the real, you know, champions and understand how radically education needs to change. And you have a voice in, you know, all your policy making. So some of the questions our teachers gave asked, please take it to your seniors at Teach for India to raise them at the policy making. And thank you, it was very well organized. I must tell the teachers, you know, how they did. They planned it out very well. I received a nice email which said 5 o'clock login, 5:15 this, 5. It's planning again. And micro planning makes a difference. Everybody says they've done work. Everyone is busy in the world. But some people do their work so well that you know don't have to get back to do it again, or it teaches you something. So it was very well, you know, time managed. Prerna, Mandar, Mansi, your entire team. I saw how you interacted with me, took no chances. So I want to compliment you, and I know a lot goes into arrange a webinar. Thank you so much. I'm happy. I'd love to come back with some experiments again.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It has been a pleasure to have you here. We look forward to our next engagement as well. For our
Thank you to all
participants,
the participants. Thank you to
sorry,
all
ma'am.
of them. I want to thank all the participants for joining and, asking me questions. Just my idea. I'm sure you also have good ideas. You please write to Teach for India. They'll share it with me.
Absolutely. Um, our next webinar is scheduled to take place on April 22nd with the British Council on Technology for Teachers. So do look for FIRCI emails in your inbox for information on this upcoming webinar. Before you leave, please take a minute to give us feedback on your learning experience on our webinar today. This helps us grow and improve our resources for you. There's a link that has been pasted on the chat box. Please paste the link in your browser to give us feedback on this webinar. To reach out to Kamalji after the webinar, write to contactfirki@teachforindia.org. This would be all from our side. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. And I'm glad the internet cooperated. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good evening. And I don't know if you're from any other part of the world, a good day ahead.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.